Hi, guys. So my topic's unfortunately a bit more serious than what we just talked about. But it comes out of the 2016 events of the United States elections and a vote in Brexit, which made us who are not white think about our background and why we're called a minority when we're not actually a minority. And does it really matter in the world, and why this whole issue of being black or white or lack thereof is back in the forefront. You all remember this Michael Jackson video, and we'd like to think that being black or white doesn't matter, but it does, unfortunately. In the last couple of years, violence has spiked, anti-immigrant attacks have spiked, sentiment towards foreigners has changed, and that seems to be a reversal of where we were just 5-10 years ago. And you look at this, well, the differences start actually quite early on. And education seems to be one thing that gets marginalized from a lot of the ethnic communities. So while people may start with equal access to education, the dropout rates, the expulsion rates change the outcome. And to justify that outcome, quite often, rather than looking at the socioeconomic side, past scientists and discourse has been around a genetic hierarchy of races to suggest that there are some races that are more inferior and some more superior. The most, I guess, demonized version of this was, of course, the Nazis, who looked at racial attributes to create very systematic categorizations of people based on things like height, size of ears and noses, and colors of hair. And that characteristic actually hides a huge amount of commonality amongst us. The 23 chromosomes that we all have, all of us have that. It's not something that differentiates it, but actually makes us more like each other, which is why we have blood transfers. Biologically, we're actually 99.9% similar. There's a 0.01% difference amongst us that's accentuated into vast amounts of political and street crime and hatred. Genetics now is used to kind of disprove some of the earlier thoughts on this, some of the earlier discourse, and this arcane way of hierarchying the world based on racial difference. And despite that, prejudices have not changed. Despite compelling scientific evidence that we're very similar, people in power continue to propagate and polarize populations in ways that I thought was sort of in the past, and it's yet hitting us back in the face in more demonic ways than before. And the statistics are again supporting that. There's more crime, there's more disparity, there's more unemployment, there's more of poverty amongst people of ethnic minorities. And we know that we need to put a stop to this. We know that this has to end. We can't continue this way and call ourselves civilized and progressive if we're not actively, each one of us, finding a way to end this and stop this. And one way to do that is genetics. And it actually begs a whole different question, because what you would think would be used for making us healthier individuals is actually being used to create physical attributes to obfuscate prejudice against race. And Michael Jackson, who you saw sing earlier on in that video, was one of the proponents or examples of someone using genetics to neutralize their racial or ethnic background. And this is powerful, so powerful that we'll probably bring back mammoths that have been frozen for the past 4,000 years back into existence, and have no doubt that we can genetically modify ourselves. But that leads to the billion ethics question. Should we use genetic engineering to narrow down racial differences? Is that inherently a lesser evil than the evil of racism? It's a question for us to ask. Thank you.